So I have worked out more or less the recipe that I want to try for the petticoat. I'm going for a base layer in the sort of chiffon fabric, which I hope is going to be strong enough. And then I've got 5 layers planned, although whether I'll use them all or not depends on how poofy they end up being. The odd layers, so layers 1, 3 and 5 will be the longer layers, so they'll have 3 tiers, with the longest ruffle being at the bottom. And layers 2 and 4 will be the sort of like half length ones like I did for my mini sample, water sample. And then layer 3 will also have burning channels in, so that will help to give some more sort of structure to it if I need them. All of the joins between the tiers will also have the nylon thread sort of zigzag stitched over as well to help give it a bit more bounce and volume. I've made like a little recipe for what I want to do, so I've got a grid of like we had with the tutu, so I've got the tier 1, tier 2 and tier 3 for each of the 5 layers. I'm concerned that the outer layers are going to have to be longer than the inner layers, because obviously the more ruffles and volume goes into the layers underneath, then that's going to lift up the upper layers. But I'm not quite sure how to calculate that so far, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the first layer and the second layer, and then see if I can like measure the correct length. There's going to be a lot of volume on the at the hem, because each of the third tiers for each of the layers is going to be about 30 meters long, so I've got a lot of work to do, but I've started cutting out. So far I've cut out layer 1 tier 1 and layer 1 tier 2. I'm just doing layer tier 3, which needs 20 widths or 46 centimeters long. I'm trying to cut it out as efficiently as possible, so I've marked out 4 sort of lengths on the net, and I've been like layering them on top of each other so I can cut them all out in one go. But I've come up against a bit of a problem because the net that I've got, I've sort of hit like all 3 potential issues at once. So I've got a very big grease stain in the middle of the net, which I have been trying to wash out and I can't. Then there's a section that is very, very creased, which I'm going to have to iron if I want to try and use. But then just ahead of that is also a hole in the net, which is quite sizable. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off that section of net from the hole and then start fresh on the roll, and then see if I can salvage the net from this section that seems quite awkward. So I should be able to get some of the thinner widths out of it, but obviously it's just kind of annoying that I'm trying to do a big long piece and there's not enough there's not enough of a stretch to do that efficiently. So I guess that's the downside of using this much net. I also did calculate sort of roughly how much net I would be using based on the calculations I've got, and assuming I add a little bit each time. So the sort of rough working I did was I added 4 centimeters to the layer 3 tiers, so it's in the longer one. So I added 4 centimeters to everything to sort of like, although that is quite a lot, so maybe that is something I need to think about. That's not just going to be 4 centimeters overall, that's going to be 12 centimeters overall, which might be right, but it might also not. So just going off that for the 4 layers, not including the final layer, that's going to be 32.4 meters, which is a lot. So it might be that I have to buy another roll of net, which isn't like out of budget, I don't think. I think it should be fine. It's just I might not have the completed petticoat by the presentation, but as long as I've got something, I've got some of the tiers going, and I've got a better idea of like how like what needs to be done to make sure the poof is right, then hopefully at the half term I'll be able to crack on with that and get some of at least the first 2 layers done, and then when I come back I have a better idea of like what I'm doing for the other layers if it needs them. Here's my weekly thing again. So I feel like this week I haven't been particularly on top of my goals. It's all like everything I've done has sort of changed plans. So next week was supposed to be, I was supposed to have the main dress together, so collar on the bodice, the skirt pleated and sewn with the ruffles, the sleeves drafted and sewn, and the apron sewn and attached. So far I've got the collar finished and it's tacked to the bodice. It just needs to be sewn and then sort of trimmed back, and then so that's almost ready. The skirt has been pleated and the ruffles have been pleated, they just haven't been sewn together yet, so I need to do that as well. I also need to get the placket done as well. The sleeves, I haven't done anything with the sleeves yet, and the apron I've cut out, but it's not been properly pressed or sewn up yet. The apron I might wait a little bit on because I want to see about this lace that I've ordered to see if it looks right going around the edge. And then next week I scheduled to do the petticoat and the bloomers. So the bloomers cut out, sewn, the petticoat recipe decided, and the neck cut. So I'm sort of halfway there on that, but I have a lot of catch up from the first week to do to make sure that I've got everything together. But it's all sort of like not smaller bits, but it's like structural bits that I need to work on alongside the petticoat. So I think it probably works out better this way. And it still leaves me about a week and a half after half term to sort of make sure everything's together. So by then I would hope to have the sort of main body of the dress together. So that would be the sleeves, the bloomers made up, the skirt and ruffles attached, any sort of like herringbone or horsehair going around the ruffle at the hem, sort of in, and all that hemmed and everything. So I think that's doable if I focus on that, and then I can keep slogging on with the petticoat as and when in between that. But I think it's going to be quite a close one to get it ready for the presentation, and I'm definitely not going to have photos ready by then. So I think it's just a case of just slogging on and seeing how much I can get done.